Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, and welcome to the Bergen County Alliance for Action chapter meeting. I want to say before we get started, thank you to today's sponsor, Allen Brightway Electrical Utility Contractors, a Whippany-based electrical contractor with diverse capabilities. The Allen Brightway team is specialized in the mission-critical environments of healthcare, data centers, utility generation, power distribution, and traffic signals while providing 24/7 emergency service to all of our clients. So once again, good morning. I am Jerry Keenan, the president of the New Jersey Alliance for Action. We're so happy to have you here today for our Bergen County Alliance for Action chapter meeting. We've reinstituted these meetings in 2022. We couldn't be happier. There has been a lot of talk, people asking for us to get these moving again. And with the end of the pandemic, hopefully in view, we're ready to start bringing them back to you again. We do have a few more virtual meetings, and then we'll get back to all of our in-person meetings. So we're here today to talk about many exciting things going on in our state's most populous county. The 2020 census counted 956,000 residents in a county that is urban, suburban, and even rural across its 233 square miles. 50,000 people moved into Bergen County in the last decade, and there are more to come. And with that brings on more demands on our infrastructure. And one of the most important developments is the Federal Infrastructure Act and the monies that'll be coming to Bergen County. We're pleased that Congressman Josh Gottheimer will address several of those projects later this morning in his pre-recorded remarks. We'll also hear from representatives of two key utilities in Bergen County, PSE&G and Suez Water. And we'll learn more about an exciting new proposed development in the Meadowlands. But first off, I want to recognize our Bergen County Alliance for Action co-chairs. I'm talking about County Executive Jim Tedesco, who is now in his 8th year as the county executive after being first elected in 2014. He's our government chair. Our labor chair is Tom Sullivan. Tom is vice chair of the Bergen County Board of Commissioners. He's the president of IBEW Local 164, and he's also president of the Bergen County Building Trades. And our private sector chair is Marty Downs. He's a professional engineer who's the president of one of our state's leading contracting firms. I'm talking about J. Fletcher, Kramer, and Son. So I'll call on Commissioner Sullivan and then Marty Downs and then the county executive who will then speak to some of the county's upcoming capital construction programs. So our first speaker today, Tom Sullivan. Tom holds important roles in two distinct worlds. Not only a Bergen County Commissioner since 2015, he's the president of IBEW Local Union 164. He's also president of the Bergen County Building Trades. In his side time, he also serves on the New Jersey Healthcare Facilities Finance Authority. So if I could say, all of us, please welcome Tom Sullivan. It's great to see you, Tom. Thank you so much for being here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. You mentioned County Executive Tedesco. We are joined at the hip. When Jim became the county executive, I filled his then freeholder seat, and we've been running together ever since. We're doing wonderful things in Bergen County. First, I have to acknowledge the great work that my predecessor did at the Bergen County Building Trades, Rick Savedo. He did a phenomenal job for over 10 years. Hopefully, I can continue in his footsteps. We have a lot of work coming out in Bergen County, as Jerry knows, and we continue to push for project labor agreements, which we're doing very well. Our county executive there, he's very supportive of the building trades, which helps us move a lot of projects forward. So we just keep doing what we have to do. We appreciate all the support from the Alliance, and we're just going to keep on moving forward. So thank you for your time, and if there's anything you need from me out of Bergen County, whichever hat you want to call on me for, I will certainly be there. It's definitely been an honor to be elected as the president of the building trades, as well as serving as a county commissioner and representing my local as the president. So just the Alliance for Action, we support 100%. Always out there looking out for us, and we appreciate it, and we definitely support you, everything you do, Jerry. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, Tom, and the same back to you. The Alliance for Action and I personally hold a great deal of respect for for you and all of your crew at the IBEW 164 and the entire Bergen County Building Trades. So thanks for being a part of the group, and thank you for your leadership. And we're looking forward to continuing our work with you. Let's move on now to our next co-chair, Marty Downs. He's the newest Bergen County Alliance for Action co-chair, taking on that role at the beginning of this year. Marty became president of J. Fletcher Creamer and Son, literally in the midst of the pandemic back in mid 2020. And he now heads a company that he first joined as an intern. Marty, I got to tell you, that was a long time ago. That was when you were a student still at Stevens Institute of Technology 2 decades ago. So, Marty, it's great to see you. I got to tell you, we were talking a little bit about you this morning, Fletch and I. Your old, I know he's still your confidant, and we were saying, I know Marty gets there bright and early in the morning, but that's only after he hits the gym. So I don't know what time you wake up in the morning, but it's got to be incredibly early. I don't know how you stay up. I know you have young kids. I don't know how you stay up to say goodnight to them, but thank you for being here today, Marty. It's great to see you.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you for that introduction, Jerry. And I'll just say that as early as I wake up is as early as I go to bed. So I barely beat my 9 and my 6-year-old to bed every night. So, but anyway, I know I haven't had the pleasure of meeting everybody on the call today yet, and I look forward to doing so, especially when we get back to face-to-face meetings. And as Jerry mentioned, I did assume the role of president around 2 years ago, and not to make light of it, but it was the height of the first surge or first wave of the pandemic, and as they say, timing is everything, right? But prior to that, I spent over 20 years with the organization, learning and growing under the tutelage of Fletch and the rest of the Creamer family. And I just want to say, I'm sure I'm not saying or telling you guys anything you don't already know about the Creamer family, but they are truly, first class in the way they treat not only me and the rest of our employees, but really anyone they come into contact with and engage with. So both professionally and personally. And for that is why I'm truly proud to be given the opportunity to lead such an amazing organization that they created and they grew over the years into what it is now. And I'm also excited to be able to continue the long-standing tradition of having a Creamer representative as the private co-chair of this chapter. I know Fletch is listening in, and I would like to take a minute to acknowledge him. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was 23 years serving in this position. Quite the remarkable feat. And I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of everyone when I say, thank you for your service. And then, I'm also excited for my new role and working with such distinguished co-chairs such as Commissioner Sullivan and County Executive Tedesco. Okay, so before I turn it back, I'll try to be brief here. Before I turn it back to our panelists, if you don't mind me sharing just a few thoughts from my perspective on how it relates to the ongoings of construction in Bergen County. Last 2 years, battling COVID were obviously tough and was a challenge. But we were lucky enough to be considered essential workers, and we're thankful for that. But it was a challenge keeping our workers healthy every day and actually working in the field. Material escalations I'm sure we're all aware, have really brought up prices across the board. And probably worse than the material escalations is really the material lead times. For example, and I'm sure Tony from Suez will speak to this, but lead time for talking to iron pipe right now is over 6 months. I mean, that is unheard of. So and I bring that up because we, despite all of that, we were able to be successful, and that's not because of just the contractors. It was really because of the partnerships with the towns, the communities, the clients across the board that we were able to prevail. It was really a team win over the last 2 years there. And I'll give you an example of working together. So as we all know, a lot of employees were working remotely over the last 2 years, and as such, traffic counts were down across the county and across the state as a whole. It allowed us to shift a lot of our crews from night work into day work, and in turn, not only allowed our employees to work safer, but be more efficient. And in turn, that allowed us to reduce our overall construction schedule, and therefore the overall impact to the traveling public. So that's just one example of a win-win. Another good indicator of what's going on in the state and the county as a whole is our crew disbursement. So we employ over 125 crews on a daily basis. in years past, those crews are spread out, with a majority of it focused in the northeast of the country, as far west as California and as far south as Florida. But over the last couple of years, I'm proud to say, as a resident of New Jersey and of Bergen County, that over 95% of our crews are working in state currently. And of those, the most heavy disbursement is in Bergen County itself. So I think that is really telling of what's going on. And then the other thing that comes to mind is probably because of my commute daily is from Wyckoff over to where our headquarters is in Hackensack. I take 17, get off Essex Street. As I come down Essex Street at 6 a.m. in the morning, there's always a wave of orange vests or yellow vests, construction vests, walking the sidewalks on both sides of Essex Street. And it's just telling and signals what's going on in Hackensack specifically. And, the amount of construction and I think in total 3,500 new high-end residents going up. It seems like that city is morphing overnight. And it's nice to view it from our perspective. We see it on a day-to-day basis. And then I know 3 of our speakers on the panel later will talk about, they represent 2 of the more prominent utility companies in Suez and PSE&G. And I won't steal their thunder about what they're planning to do in the future as far as injecting capital into Bergen County. But I just want to say thank you from my perspective, because I could attest firsthand of what they've done in the past to keep our infrastructure where it needs to be, state of the art, and what they've done for the Bergen County. They truly are a partner for us. And then I won't steal County Executive Tedesco or Congressman Gottheimer's thunder with regard to the impacts of the federal infrastructure bill. I'll just say that from my position, we are encouraged and optimistic with the additional influx of funding that's coming to us, our state and Bergen County over the next 5 years. It will make a dramatic impact on the state of our infrastructure across the state and the county as a whole. So with that, I will stop babbling and I'll turn it back to you, Jerry. I once again, thank you, everybody. I look forward to meeting everybody in person. And Jerry, it's all yours.
Thanks a lot, Marty. Thank you. Always great seeing you. Thank you so much for being with us here today. Our next speaker is County Executive Jim Tedesco. He's our co-chair representing government. He's now completing his 2nd term as county executive, and he has a long tenure in elected office here in the county, previously serving as freeholder, mayor of Paramus, and also a councilman of Paramus. So County Executive Tedesco is also going to speak to the capital construction efforts here in the county during 2022. So I want to say, please welcome Jim Tedesco, County Executive Tedesco, to our meeting today. County Executive, if I could ask you to please turn on your camera and your microphone, we'll be ready to go. Jim, it's always a pleasure seeing you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Jerry. And I'm actually very pleased and honored to say that we're back together with the Alliance for Action, and having while this is virtual, getting together with all the members and being able to talk to them and hear the good things that are going on, not only in Bergen County but in New Jersey. You pointed out a couple things earlier with the growth of Bergen County. We gained over 50,000 people in the last census, but the economy also grew at about 5.6% in Bergen County. And people wonder, wow, how is that possible in such a densely populated and heavily developed county? But it shows the good planning and the good work that people are doing by not only going out, but going up and doing other things that maximize the space that Bergen County has left, and also modernizing the county from its history and of the farm days to where we are in the 21st century. I would like to, if it's okay, to just give you a few highlights of what's happening here in the county overall, and then I'll go into what most of you would want to hear is what's happening and what's going to happen on a construction side and an investment side for the county in the next year or so. So Bergen County's rebound is speeding ahead from COVID, and we're no longer going to make decisions based on COVID. While we're not going to put COVID away and say we're not going to be cognizant of what's happening, we're going to start to make decisions based on what's going on in the county and some of the things that have been delayed over the last 2 years because of COVID. We're going to now start to bring to fruition. Cases are down 95% in the county, and our vaccination rate is 74% for Bergen County, the highest in the county in the state. Sad to say that we lost over 3,000 Bergen County family members to this pandemic. And if we could, Jerry, and for just a moment, take a moment of silence for those that we lost, those that served in battle that we lost, and also for those that are in Ukraine and standing up for freedom and fighting the Russian onslaught. If we could just take a moment of silence to think about those folks.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jerry. In regards to a couple things about the pandemic, Chris and I were just talking earlier. The Bergen County trades played a huge role in the beginning in the pandemic when we needed hospital space and the county was running out of hospital beds. And you know the stories of many of the hospitals building out bed space in cafeterias and hallways and closets and things like that. Well, at Bergen Newbridge Medical Center, the hospital that the county owns, it's managed by Care Plus Bergen. We decided that we were going to, in conjunction with the Army Corps of Engineers and FEMA, build a 100-bed tent hospital, 50-bed tent hospitals. And when I made that decision to do that, we didn't know what the future was going to hold. And I have to say that working 24 hours a day for 16 days, the building trades and many other people built that hospital that later became the epicenter and the focal point for care for people in Bergen County and throughout North Jersey. And I'm absolutely convinced that without that, and without the role of our other healthcare partners in the county, we would have never been able to come through this in the manner in which we did. And so just wanted to take a minute to give a shout out to the building trades. They agreed to work 16 hours a day for 16 days under the direction of the Army Corps of Engineers to build that hospital that then provided the highest level of care for people to be tested, to people to get vaccines, people to get monoclonal antibody treatments, and many other things. So the trades played an important role early on in the pandemic. I just want to give two shout outs. You talked about Alan Brightway as the sponsor today. Alan Brightway is a vendor for Bergen County. Alan Brightway does all of our traffic signal repairs and response in emergencies. So I do want to give a shout out to Alan Brightway and the work that their men and women do for us here in Bergen County. And the two utility companies that will speak in a few minutes, I happen to have an affinity for one of them, having been an employee for 37 years there. But PSE&G's commitment to safety and their ongoing cast iron replacement program, I just want to say thank you to the people, the men and women of PSE&G for continuing that. That cast iron replacement program is a hugely important program from a safety standpoint for the people of Bergen County. While they may feel some pain with the roadways, after they're paved, we have a much more and a much safer gas infrastructure system here in Bergen County and throughout New Jersey. So I just wanted to give that shout out to PSE&G and to my friends at Suez, the lead abatement program, the lead program that we have ongoing here in Bergen and Hudson that Suez is leading. I've met with the CEO of Suez and the work that they're doing to remove lead from our water system and to eliminate that danger for young people especially has been a overwhelming success. And so I thank the folks from Suez that are continuing that effort and making our drinking water safer. A couple other things you had mentioned, we heard about the Hackensack Hospital and the construction that's going on in Hackensack, and that's absolutely correct. The amount of activity that's taken place in the city, which is the county seat, is just remarkable and great to see that the revitalization is happening there. We have a great working relationship with the elected leaders in Hackensack, and not only is Hackensack expanding, but we all know the hospital in Paramus that's being built, Valley, and the amount of work that's creating for our trades and for folks, and then the work opportunities that will generate after the hospital's built, and we can't wait to go to the opening of that, and also to the new addition at Hackensack Hospital. The other thing is that I would like everybody to know that we are making millions of dollars in investments in infrastructure and other improvements at the Newbridge Medical Center. While the past history of that has not been as bright, the future for Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is so bright, and we have a great leadership team. But the county and the commissioners have committed to making it a better place, making it a place where we can now service people that truly need help the most. You know, it's a charity care based hospital. We're not going to compete with the Hackensacks and Valley of the world in transplants and heart and brain and things like that. But we are going to give the best care for people that need mental health care, people that need addiction care, people that need long-term care, and acute care, but in the fields of those realms. So the healthcare industry in Bergen County is really the leading industry in employment, and we're going to continue to work with them. There's many construction projects going on countywide, from hundreds of thousands of square feet in warehouse distribution to new healthcare facilities to thousands of new apartments, and over $65 million in active county-led construction projects. Tom talked about the PLA. Bergen County has the strongest PLAs in the state of New Jersey. I'm a strong believer in PLAs. I'm a strong believer in our union brothers and sisters getting the fair work, doing the work that they are entitled to, and the quality of work that they do. So we will continue to do PLAs, and we will continue to support our brothers and sisters in labor. We have a very exciting construction project, very, very close to moving forward. It's a brand new technical high school in Bergen County. It's part of our Bergen County Special Services School District. It's a $34 million project that's going to build a high school to allow for people to young people in high school to learn how to do things that we need as the county for businesses to survive. And while we continue to encourage people to go to college and get 4-year degrees, this offers those folks that want to do some other type of education to be able to focus on that every day. And the curriculum will feature programs tailored to address the shortages in the high demand fields that will help our nation and the state be competitive in the 21st century. So that's really an exciting, and that groundbreaking will happen probably in the late spring, early summer. Another project is our workforce housing and state-of-the-art electrified bus terminal. For those of you that may not be familiar, we own property at 133 River Street, which is directly across the street from the old Record property, which is now under development. We plan to build a new bus terminal there, and that will allow for underground parking for 8 to 10 electrified buses. It'll have a waiting room, it'll have amenities, and then it'll have structured parking above that. It will have workforce housing and some office space. And what do I mean by workforce housing? I mean that this is housing that will be for people that are just starting out in professional careers. And those careers examples are firefighters, police officers, teachers, other types of professionals where sometimes the starting salaries aren't as high as in other fields, and they have a hard time living in this area. Well, this will allow those folks to live in these 1-bedroom units until they make more money and get more seniority and more time on the job, and their salaries go up, and then they will transition out. And so this is a first of a kind. It will have a veterans housing component in it, and not only a veterans housing component, but a disabled veteran housing component in it too. And so this is going to be the first of a kind, and we're excited that we're able to work with the city of Hackensack and be able to build such a unique and state-of-the-art building. And we hope to break ground on that very shortly. COVID has played a role in that, and some other issues. But a couple other things that are going on. You talked about the infrastructure bill. We certainly hope that Bergen County is going to get its fair share of the infrastructure bill. The good news is we were able to obtain an $850,000 grant to update the Route 17 corridor between Route 4 or Farview Avenue in Paramus and the Essex Street bridge. That section down there where the roadway goes from 5 lanes to 2 lanes, it's always been a problem. It continues to be a problem. When you talk about supply chain and when you talk about economic impact, the only way for commerce and goods to get from Route 80 or the Turnpike to the northern part of the country, into New York State, and then up into the northern part of the country, is to come up Route 17 to get on the New York State Thruway. And that's why there is such heavy truck traffic and commerce traffic. And those trucks just sitting there in traffic, creating additional pollution, environmental hazards, and things like that, we believe is such an important project that we've asked the congressmen and the senators to put that on as the priority, and that the $850,000 that we just got will give us the start to be able to modify the plans for that area. Hudson Light Rail. There is no Bergen Hudson Light Rail. It's Hudson Light Rail, and we continue to push for the Bergen extension. When this was all proposed, it was the Bergen Hudson Light Rail. It was supported through the support of the legislators from Bergen County, and unfortunately, it's gotten only built out in Hudson County. And I continue to be a champion and a leader for having that Bergen Light Rail, or that Hudson Light Rail, truly become Bergen Hudson Light Rail and extend into the east side of Bergen County. We have no rail lines on the east side of Bergen County. We put in the Bergen Hudson Light Rail to the east side of Bergen County. That whole side of the county will develop very, very rapidly. And we all know the success of what's happened down in Hudson County. In regards to electrified cars and electrified charging stations, we've installed those in our parks. If some of you have gone to some of our parks, you'll see those electric charging stations. They're free. Just an interesting fact. At the Bergen County Zoo in the Overpeck Park, we've powered over 104,000 miles of cars on the electric charging systems that we've put in for the public. Roads and bridges, something else that I know a lot of our construction contractors are interested in. We have the Anderson Street Bridge between Hackensack and Teaneck. That's a $40 million project that's advancing to the preliminary engineering phase. The Kingsland Avenue Bridge that connects Bergen and Essex County, that's a $45 million project that's advancing to the preliminary engineering phase. A big one, the Market Street, Essex Street, Main Street, Rochelle Park. That bridge is advancing to the final engineering phase. And the Oradell Avenue Bridge over the Hackensack River, right by the Oradell Dam. That's a $12 million project, and that's approaching completion of concept development. Those of you that travel 17 and get off in Paramus, you'll be glad to know that on March 24th, the Century Avenue Bridge should open to two-way traffic. That was almost a $3 million project. We have another bridge in Montvale, the Magnolia Avenue Bridge. That's a $2 million project. And the Greenwood Avenue Bridge is another $2 million project. We're planning to resurface at least 30 miles of roadway in 2022. We did 23 miles in 2021. Ongoing projects in the county, and these are county-sponsored projects. We have $17.8 million worth of construction going on right now in our parks. New driving range being built at Darlington Golf. Riverside County Park down south in Lyndhurst and North Arlington. We're building a boathouse and an amphitheater. The boathouse will give access to the Passaic River for people to do the crew and rowing, and then residents will be able to have recreational opportunities there with kayaks and boating. We're building a kayak launch in Oradell, right across from the old Suez or Hackensack Waterworks plant. So that will give access to the northern part of the Hackensack River. And we're building a new clubhouse at the Overpeck Golf. And last, we are announcing that we will be putting out a new program called Size Up Bergen. This is a tool for small businesses that it's going to be free, and people will be able to access it and gain knowledge and data about the fields that their business is in, and be able to gain competitive knowledge and competitive advantages by getting this information. It's very, very detailed. It contains a lot of information, but what it'll do is it'll help the small mom and pop shops, the smaller businesses here in Bergen County, be able to get data and information that they would have to pay a lot of money for in the private, to go out and get a private company to do it, and give them information to make better business decisions. So it was an investment that the county made on behalf of the businesses here in Bergen County, and it's going to give the small businesses a much better edge in making some business decisions, and also looking at businesses being able to come here and seeing what the marketplace offers. I could keep going on and on because there's so much happening in Bergen County, Jerry, but I think I'll stop there, and certainly I'd be more than glad later on, if there's questions, to be able to answer any questions.
Well, this is absolutely terrific, County Executive. I was taking a bunch of notes here. First of all, I want to say congratulations on your support of the building trades. I think you're absolutely right on the mark there. The building trades are continuing to build not only Bergen County, but build New Jersey. And it's critical, the work that they do. And we're strong friends and strong partners with the building trades. I'm glad to see you are as well. And we need to keep supporting them. And they do so many good things. And they actually, when they're working, they're creating new opportunities for the rest of the state. So you're right on there. Great news with the technical high school. Anything we can do with you helping you move forward on the Route 17 corridor update project. I'm really glad to see you're receiving dollars from the feds on there for that. The bus centers is terrific. And I love that you call it the Hudson Light Rail Line. It's time. We need to move forward. We need to extend it. It really is supposed to be the Hudson Bergen Light Rail Line, but it isn't. And I know you have been a champion of that for many years. We've been working to and supporting that and trying to get that to happen. So, County Executive, I'd love to sit down with you privately and see what we can do to try to move this project forward. So I will be reaching out to you and seeing what we could do. And then finally, I'd love to see the EV chargers moving forward and free charging. That is terrific for all the people that would be interested in using those chargers and helping their cars. So terrific. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for you and your staff helping arrange today's meeting. You've been a true partner with the Alliance for Action for many, many years, and I'm looking forward to continuing that partnership. So thanks again for being here. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Okay. So let's move on now. The county executive had so many good things to say about infrastructure in the county. And I tell you, with so much coming out of Washington that is impacting New Jersey, we've been inviting members of New Jersey's congressional delegation to join us at our county chapter meetings. Congressman Josh Gottheimer of New Jersey's 5th Congressional District, he joins us this morning via a pre-recorded message. He's going to be outlining ways in which the federal infrastructure bill will benefit Bergen County. So if I could ask Chris and Penny to fire up that video, we're looking forward to hearing from Congressman Josh Gottheimer.
Josh Gottheimer, thank you so much for having me. And God bless you. Take care.
Well, I want to thank Congressman Josh Gottheimer for joining us on a video here today. Great stuff. I'm looking forward, and the Alliance for Action is looking forward to working with the congressman to get those infrastructure dollars on the move right here in Bergen County. And he brings up one thing, and really this is the key and the secret and the mission of the Alliance for Action. And he mentioned every dollar worth of investment in infrastructure creates $3 in economic progress and economic growth. That is the key. And I mentioned before when I was speaking with the county executive, you talk about the building trades. The building trades, when the building trades are working, that is not only creating work for them right then, but it's also creating work down the road and economic investment down the road, which will help not only Bergen County, but the entire state for years and years to come. And that's really what the mission of the Alliance for Action is all about, making sure our infrastructure and our capital needs are moving forward and keeping pace with the needs of the state. And when that happens, it creates untold economic opportunities for the entire economy. So thank you, Congressman, for being here. I'm looking forward to working with you. And we'll move on now. I want to introduce another one of our region's dynamic business leaders. I'm speaking, of course, about Jim Kirkus. Jim is the CEO of the Meadowlands Chamber of Commerce. Jim has led the chamber for the past 2 decades, and his leadership is informed from his dual previous careers running catering enterprises and also being an accountant. His vision brings us to a great proposal, the Meadowlands Convention Center and the infrastructure that will support it. So it's my pleasure to introduce a friend, Jimmy Kirkus. Jimmy, it's great to see you again. Thank you so much for joining us. You've got a great project here. I've told you that we want to help you support this project, move forward. You let me know what we can do, and we'll be shoulder to shoulder with you.
Hey Jerry, good morning, and thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate the support. You know, the Bergen County chapter of the Alliance for Action is kind of like old home week for us. We've had such great partnerships with County Executive Jim Tedesco. And I got to say, if hopefully Jim is still on the line, but I haven't met a more impassioned leader in political office, maybe in my lifetime. he wears every ounce of what he does on his sleeve. And Jim, if you're still here, we love the way you're leading Bergen County, and we appreciate our partnership. Commissioner Sullivan, Congressman Gottheimer, and all the folks, we're all after the same thing. Today, Jerry, I'm going to share a little bit with you. You know the Chamber has been a strong advocate on transportation and economic development. Well, a bunch of years ago, we established the Meadowlands 2040 Foundation, which is chaired by all of our good friend Fletch Kramer, and is co-chaired by Bill Hansen from NAI James C. Hansen. And the Meadowlands 2040 Foundation is an economic development, kind of a think tank. It's where we do some envisioning for where we're going. Penny, if you could keep the first slide up, that'd be great. Thank you. And so what we did was a lot of our vision planning that goes into the Chamber's advocacy starts at the 2040 Foundation. And in this particular case, we've always been an advocate for the sports complex and the elements of the sports complex. It's no secret we've been a champion of the stadium and the racetrack, an American dream. We want to restore the sports complex to the world, not only the world fame that it had back in the 70s with the three original venues, but we see the destination-related economy in this particular region as being a major component of the overall economy in New Jersey, and especially in the northern part of New Jersey, and predominantly in Bergen County. The preface for why we thought we looked at the convention center as being a model for us, we engaged Hunden Strategy Partners, or Strategic Partners, a national firm that has done about 700 of these types of studies for these types of facilities in and around the country, to really take a close look. And what we're going to show you, I'm going to show you elements today of a phase 1 study, which is really a market analysis on its competitiveness. We are currently in phase 2, which deals with all the economics of the economic impact, and then the economics of how to build it and what the models would be to, in fact, build it, the cost of operating such a facility. That should be completed by the end of April. Penny, you can go to slide 2. Thank you. So the questions when we looked at this the study was: is the Meadowlands an opportunistic site for development of a multi-purpose convention and event complex? What are the key factors in determining that opportunity? What do events need from a destination to be successful? So this study attracted all of those, and predominantly the thing that drives me and the foundation and the entity is every single time we have ever done a major event at the sports complex. Super Bowl, 2 WrestleManias, World Cup soccer. Every single time the fan experience that's part of that event goes to New York City or to Brooklyn, because we don't have a large enough venue greater than the Expo Center that's in Secaucus, which is also a tremendous economic engine for that particular area. But we don't have a 200,000 square foot facility where the NFL experience could be hosted during Super Bowl or the fan experience for WrestleMania. We're talking about week-long events with upwards of 50,000 people a day, and all of that discretionary revenue staying in New Jersey. And by the way, when the fan experience gets located to the Brooklyn Piers, well, everybody wants to stay near the fan experience. So then the hotel stays, go to New York, go to Brooklyn, and we lose that revenue and that tax revenue as well. And on top of that, we want to round out. We believe a convention center facility to replace the old Izod Center, now the arena, would complement the stadium, the racetrack, and certainly American Dream by bringing in all different types of events. Next slide. So what are the success factors for a convention center is what Hunden Strategy Partners looked at. Easy access to large markets, destination appeal, in many cases walkability, which is one of our challenges at the complex, facility package, exhibit, ballroom, meeting, and hotels, and price competitiveness. That's the factors that would lead into a successful operation. Next slide. Meadowlands is a value destination, is what was determined by the Hunden Strategic Partners. If you look close, the cost comparison of major expenses at event affiliates, we have the the value in so many ways. Next slide. What are those implications? We're in the most populated market in the United States, the biggest air market in the United States, excellent rail and bus connectivity, and that will continue to improve as the infrastructure package adds to mobility options in and around this particular area, and certainly the sports complex. Major highway accessibility, significant disposable income for entertainment and events, less than 30 minutes into Midtown Manhattan, which a number that would get better, and all the benefits of Manhattan without the cost. Next slide. Next slide, please, Penny. So we talked about, okay, so some further implications, right? The competitive position of the Meadowlands finds itself in is unique, right? And so because we're in this lower cost market, we would position a convention center to not compete with the Javits Center. It would be sized appropriately for the types of events that complement the existing investment in the stadium, the racetrack, and American Dream. And we take a look at its competitive nature throughout the East Coast. The Meadowlands sets up, as it says here, sets up nicely as a super regional player and a national player in most types of events. Corporate, consumer shows, and the biggest impacts are from conventions, trade shows, and sports and competitions. And while I talk about sports and competitions, youth and amateur sports are a major industry. We're going to show some more about that in a few coupling slides. Next slide, Penny. You see the event opportunities, trade shows and conventions. We all know what they look like here, and again, upwards of 300 event days per year could be added to our economy. 300. We lost so many event days when the Izod Center was closed. We lost the teams, the Devils and the Nets, and we lost all sport and event activities from the arena with the building of the Prudential Center. All of the things that we're talking about at this particular facility would be non-competitive to the Prudential Center and non-competitive to the Javits Center, really positioning us to capitalize on the market. Next slide. Consumer shows and assemblies. Next slide. Conferences and banquets. Corporate meetings and training, sporting competitions. You see a picture of the cheerleading competition. These cheerleading competitions go on for 4 and 5 days, and the entire family travels to see people in all of youth and amateur sports, filling hotels, sending people into local downtowns. And we feel the biggest opportunity is in youth sports. Next slide. We have a big corporate presence here. We all know this, between New York and New Jersey, corporate headquarters of people that would look to use our facilities. Fortune 1000 companies. The supply metrics. This is a really interesting slide. I know it might be small on your screen, but I'm going to tell you what it shows. Out of 13 major markets, New York ranks 13. The New York metropolitan area, which would include us, ranks 13 out of the 13 in the amount of square footage of space to host these kinds of events. So that basically says we have a lot of room for us to add a facility like this and be very, very competitive. We are undersupplied by almost 2 million square feet, and what we're proposing is something just short of 500,000 square feet. So lots of room for competitiveness. Next slide. Right, we want to complement. We want to complement the investment, right? The $6 billion or almost $7 billion between American Dream, MetLife Stadium, and the Meadowlands Racetrack that's already there, and look to create the next generation of a sports and entertainment complex that has so much economic impact throughout the whole area. Next slide, Penny. Here's a top-down overview of our renderings. You can see the stadium and the racetrack clearly. The gray area is American Dream down at the bottom, and then you can see the top of the convention center. We're proposing with a total grass green roof on the top. You'll also see a couple of buildings that has a little blue rectangle. Those are potential hotels with pools. We anticipate, if not 2, probably 3 hotels to be added to the site to create that walkability that would support the convention center. Next slide. Here's a view taken from the racetrack. You can see its proximity to the stadium and the facility itself. Next slide. This is one of my favorite renderings so far. You see the facility, and that's, again, replaces the current arena and the parking lot in front of the arena that goes up to Route 120 that cuts through the complex. You see our proximity to New York. You see the Ferris wheel and American Dream. And if you look close to the left side and to the east side of the rendered facility, you can see 3 buildings which we are depicting as hotels. And I think there's one more slide. There's a top-down look at what the convention center would potentially look like. And again, these are renderings. We believe the headquarters hotel would be attached to the facility and also be attached to American Dream. And what you haven't seen in here is we also propose some type of people mover that would connect all of the complex facilities to each other. There's some type of monorail system that would allow somebody to be in every place. And so we just think it makes sense for the future for us to recapture the business that we've lost. It's an economic engine that not only creates jobs in its early days of construction, but permanent jobs, but makes us a primary destination, supports each one of the existing facilities at the complex now, but more importantly, generates 250 to 300 event days a year, filling hotels, supporting local communities, and we just think it makes sense. It's a big move. It's a bold move. We think the time to think about it is absolutely no better time right now, especially with hospitality industry and hotels being hammered so much during the pandemic. It's going to take them years to recover. A facility like this would be an economic engine for all of this particular region. Those of you that understand the tax sharing formula in New Jersey that is supported by a special 3% fee on hotel rooms, would never be in danger of not having enough money to support the tax sharing. Additional revenues from those fees could be used to brand and market the region. And it's just an economic engine that we believe makes sense. So, Jerry, I can't thank you enough how much I appreciate the Alliance for Action support. Just show some quick slides of this. I will tell you that we have briefed the governor's office about the plan. They're anxious to see the findings of phase 2, which we should have by the end of April. And we are going around the neighborhood and briefing everybody that we can on the positive impacts of what this facility could be. We'd love your feedback to hear your thoughts and ideas about it. And I appreciate the opportunity to share that project with you this morning. Thank you, Jerry.
Sure thing, Jimmy. Well, we're in. Count us in. So I did a bottom line report, just giving an overview of the proposal, and I think it's a terrific opportunity. And you mentioned about not only will it have all these events and bringing dollars to the area, but so important is keeping those dollars here and not having people go into New York City. And I always think about, boy, what if we had this when we had the Super Bowl? It drove me crazy when the Super Bowl was here, and I see all those things happening in Manhattan. All that stuff should have been happening right here in our backyard, and we're putting all the work in for hosting the game, but a lot of the money is going across the border, and it just wasn't right, and this would be a great opportunity.
You know, Jerry, it's really thank you for saying that. You know, well, listen, there's a great advantage to being located next to the greatest city in the world. but we need to leverage that advantage,
Mhm.
right? And this is the way to leverage that advantage and take some of that into our own hands. We've missed so many opportunities in the past with doing some things for whatever reasons, whether it be political or financial. But we can't be afraid to be bold here, and that's what I'm so pleased with Fletch and Bill and the trustees of the foundation to allow us to advance this particular concept. We don't get to make the decision; we only get to advocate, and we only get to present it, keep the conversation going. But we think it makes so much sense in so many ways, and hopefully public officials will sign on. And we can take a look at this, and we'll find a way to advance this in the short.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy, thank you so much for being here, and let's talk some more, and we'll do what we can to make this happen as quickly as possible. So great job, great program, and we're looking forward to it. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Jerry. Appreciate it.
We're going to move on now and bring Michael Gaffney on. Mike is a terrific guy. Works with he's the senior director of gas operations for PSE&G. That's a role he's held for the past year. He's been with PSE&G for 35 years, and he's going to be discussing gas infrastructure plans for 2022. Mike, it's great to see you here today. Thank you for being with us. We're very, very interested in hearing about a number of your projects. I know Gas System Modernization Program Part 3 and so many other different things. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Jerry. And I want to thank Jim Tedesco and also Marty Downs, great partners that we've had through the growth of our programs. And I just want to give you a little tour of where we are today. I am in the bunker, as I call it, but that over there is a hole-in-one plaque. So I just want to let everybody know I got that in Bergen County. I do live in Bergen County. I've lived here most of my life. I'm in Rutherford, and I know what Jim Tedesco is talking about with some of the bridges and some of the roadways that we deal with. Route 17 is a real treat sometimes, but hopefully we can make that better, and we can all help there. So I'm just going to go through a few things about our company, and I'm going to review some electric stuff and some gas stuff. I know I'm the gas guy, but we have some electric information in here. This is an eye test for everybody. All it's saying is don't trade or buy our stock based on what I'm going to say this morning. So next slide. So this is a new vision for us. I'm not sure if everybody follows what we are doing as a bigger company, but we recently exited the fossil generation business in New Jersey. So the one plant in Bergen County, which is Bergen, you can see it off the turnpike there by 46 in Ridgefield. We recently sold that. We sold it to a company called ArcLight, and we are not in the power generation business or the fossil power generation business any longer. And that is part of our long-term strategy and our vision. And our vision is to help people use less energy and make it cleaner, safer, and deliver more reliably than ever. And hopefully we can do that with our diverse workforce and our diverse contractors. Next slide. So just some high level things about the company. We are a regulated utility in New Jersey, and we're going to become more of a focused utility now that we don't have the power generation business. We are still going to maintain our nuclear power plants in the southern part of the state. They are carbon free, and we are going to continue to try to utilize them and operate them as safely as we possibly can. We are the largest electric and gas distribution company in the state. We have about 2.3 million electric customers, 1.9 million gas customers, and you can see the growth there. Not overly impressive, but we continue to grow a little bit each year, and you can see our usage and our sales significant in the state. We also have a pretty large appliance service business. I'm sure everybody has seen the worry-free brands, and I'm sure everybody has their warranties on appliances, but we also operate that business, and we will continue to operate that business. We're in the middle right now of a $14 billion to $16 billion capital program. If you can see here, the color highlighted areas, gas, electric, and transmission. There's also a new color on there, the CEF filings. That will be some investments that we're going to be making. I'll go over some of them in more detail on some other slides. But you can see this year we're going to be just shy of about $3 billion in investments, which is a huge undertaking for us. Last year was pretty significant, and you can see next year it is It is a huge challenge for us. Next year is, I think, the biggest in our history as far as capital investment programs, and I'm sure Bergen County will see more than their fair share of those. Next slide. So one of the programs that our electric distribution companies are going to be looking at is called the Last Mile Investment Program. So this program is really looking at just some of the things that we haven't got to take care of over the years. So it will modernize the system and improve the reliability for customers who are more dependent on the system more than ever. So hopefully this will help. We're going to be looking at replacing some poles, some overhead equipment. Also continue to harden our facilities and make sure that the worst performing circuits we can make a little bit more reliable for everybody. Put some things on the ground if we can afford it, and also if our customers can bear the brunt of those investments. So our underground networks will also be strengthened and hardened through rebuilding manhole systems and conduit systems. And then our capacitor upgrades on poles to make sure that our power is more reliable and that it is safer for everybody. So that focused investment program is part of a long runway, beginning with $848 million in infrastructure advancement program. That is in front of the board right now. And I know a couple of our partners that are on the call have also supported that, and I appreciate everybody who has done that. Next slide. So this is the GSMP program that Mr. Tedesco was talking about, and good to see you, Jim. And this program has really been a tremendous success for us. We have replaced about 500 miles over the past 4 years. We are going to wrap up GSMP 2 this year. That's a little early than we planned. We were supposed to wrap it up next year, but we got a lot of great results out of this. We got a lot of cooperation from counties and the municipalities, and we were able to replace. I think it was 300 miles last year, and probably about 160 of those, believe it or not, were in Bergen County. The northern part of the state is really a focus for us, and we did a lot of work. I say a lot of work, and Jim Tedesco brought up the closed roads, and I apologize for those. I had the pleasure of going through Lyndhurst a bunch last year, and we had a large part of Lyndhurst under construction, and the water company also, Suez, had a large part of Lyndhurst under construction, and it was a challenge to get through that town. But we were able to work together with Suez. We did some projects together, trying to figure out who could go in first, get some paving cooperation, and it was a great partnership there also. So good stuff. But we are going to wrap up that 875 miles this year, file for GSMP 3 next year, and then hopefully start GSMP 3 in 24. So we have a heck of a road in front of us. Next slide. These are the clean energy filings that we have gotten approved through the Board of Public Utilities. So I'm just going to go through them real quick. The first one is energy efficiency, and that is trying to provide programs for residential and C&I customers, including low-income, multifamily, small businesses, and local government. So we will go into people's homes, do an energy audit, look at their HVAC systems, offer them to replace those systems, and make sure that the house is efficiently sealed up, and also look at the lighting to make sure that the lighting is proper. One of the main investments that we have on the electric side also is we are going to a smart meter program. We are just starting to kick that off right now. The smart meters and their new software will make it a lot easier for us to understand outages when we get into some hurricane season and some storms, and we will be able to improve some responses as we move forward. Also, we are not going to give it away, as Jim said, at the zoo, but we are also in the investment of installing some car chargers across the state. So there will be residential smart charging, also level 2 mixed use charging, and public DC fast charging. So there is a program. I will tell you, if you are thinking about getting an electric car or a hybrid, that we do have a program that can help you with that installation. And I encourage you to go to our website if you are interested in those things. Next slide. Next slide. So specifically in Bergen County, I said, I use the term a lot, but these are some of the figures that we have for Bergen County that we have performed over the years. Roughly 23 miles of our gas mains are on county roads. And we have worked well with the county and getting those permits and making sure that we could successfully complete those projects. You can see the yellow towns are where we have worked in Bergen County over the past 3 years. This is just for GSMP 2. And you can see that we have been in pretty much 70% of the county. And then the other areas, you could pretty much bet that we're going to be there with GSMP 3. So again, about 300 miles of pipe done over the term for GSMP 2. And some of the benefits that we have seen, fewer leaks. It's a much safer system. There's increased pressure, and if people want to install generators, we have no problem handling those demands. And it allows for a greater volume to meet demand increases also. So just good stuff on that. Also, we are installing excess flow valves on our system too, which is safer in case there is a damage. Next slide. On the electric side, we've installed about 58 miles of 69 kV, which is much more reliable. And I'm sure everybody has seen the bigger poles. Sometimes not a big hit with towns, but again, when you put those size poles in, not easy to damage those through a storm. So some good stuff there. We have about another 27 miles of 69 kV in the pipeline. We have upgraded 31 substations above FEMA flood levels since Sandy and Ida. So we really have done a lot with those stations to make sure that they are not damaged by floodwaters. And then locally, we have installed 3,700 reclosures, which makes it easier to segment our distribution circuits and make sure if there is an outage that we can tie circuits together and get people back faster, which results in fewer outages and faster restorations. And just on a safety note, before I say thank you, today is March 4th, and I'm not sure if everybody follows construction industry across the state, but about 8 years ago to the day, we had a pretty major incident in Ewing, New Jersey. We had an explosion. A customer lost their life. We had 7 people on a crew in front of that condominium that were injured, and also we had 3 contractors injured also. And it was a significant day. It was a significant event for our company. A lot of changes came out of it for our company. We don't do markouts the way we used to. We changed the way that we monitor directional drilling, and just the total oversight of a job really changed for us. So I ask everybody, if you're going to be digging, please make sure you have a markout. If you see somebody that's digging without a markout, please call us and make sure that we can protect our facilities and work safe in the future. I think that's all I have. Thanks, Jerry.
Well, sure. Thank you, Mike. So March 4th is a dark day. I'm sorry to hear about that anniversary, but I am glad to see that certain steps were taken to ensure these kinds of things don't happen again. But our condolences to everyone who was affected by that all these years later. So, but thank you so much for being here. We thank Mike and all of his colleagues at PSE&G for their longtime support of the Alliance for Action. PSE&G is the state's largest utility. It's also one of the charter members of this organization right here. So we thank you for your support, and it's been a tremendous partnership throughout the years, and we're looking forward to continue that. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
So we're going to complete our program this morning with an important presentation from Suez Water. Joining us today are Tony Vicente. He's the manager of networks at New Business Engineering, and Dijon Panza. He's the manager of engineering. They're each going to discuss Suez's continuing upgrades in Bergen County. So if I could ask Tony and Dijon to please turn on. Hey, Dijon, how are you? Nice to see you. Thank you so much for being here today. We're all looking forward to hearing about what you're going to be doing as far as Suez goes in Bergen County. Thanks.
Thank you, Jerry. All right, I'll get us started off here. You guys got a 2-for-1 deal today. It's myself and Tony. We're each going to cover different aspects of the Suez Capital Investment Program. I'll be covering the above ground infrastructure and our overall capital investment program. And then in the second half of the presentation, Tony will cover our underground infrastructure as well. We have a lot of content to get through, so we'll be going at a pretty rapid pace. But if there's any follow-up questions, you can always reach me offline after the meeting as well. Next slide, Penny. Next slide. So just a very quick intro into Suez for those of you that may not be familiar. Suez is a global environmental company. And here in New Jersey, we have regulated utilities, both water and wastewater. We also have contract operations as well, where we operate systems on behalf of municipalities. Total revenues for the regulated business is about $327 million annually. And we manage a portfolio of $1.5 billion worth of assets. We're proud to serve about 1 million residents in the state of New Jersey and 81 municipalities, most of those residents being right here in Bergen County. 95% of our systems are water, the other 5% being wastewater. We have many, many facilities, 56 total plants. Most of those are groundwater sources. We do have 3 surface water treatment plants, 5 reservoirs, 83 wells, some 19,000 hydrants, and 2,900 miles of mains. And we're also proud to have 440 employees throughout the state. Just want to mention today's Employee Appreciation Day. So when you get a chance, thank your employees. Every day should be Employee Appreciation Day, but today's a special day. Next slide, Penny. So I'm going to start off by highlighting some projects we currently have in progress right now in Bergen County. This first project is the electrical pump station upgrade project at our Hallworth Water Treatment Plant. This is a complete replacement of all of the electrical switchgear in the larger of the 2 pump stations we have at our plant. It includes the medium voltage lineup as well as low voltage equipment. This equipment is crucial for us. It powers up our 4 2,500 horsepower pumps, some blowers as well, and a wash water pump. The project also included replacement of a standby generator. And the total cost for this work is about $7.5 million and scheduled to complete in just a few weeks. Next slide. Another project currently taking place at our Hallworth Water Treatment Plant is our chemical storage facility project. This is a great project for us for resiliency of our water treatment operations. It is a construction of a new building to house 60,000 gallons of water treatment chemicals. 50,000 gallons are for sodium hypochlorite, which is a disinfectant chemical, and 10,000 gallons is for zinc orthophosphate, which is a corrosion inhibitor. This project cost is about $6.5 million and scheduled to complete in the next couple months. Next slide. This project is what we call the Western Reservoir Pump Station Enclosure Project. This is in our Wycliffe Lake facility. It is a construction of a enclosure over the 2 outdoor pumps you see in the top photo. This will allow us to be able to run this facility all year round. Currently, we're only able to run these pumps seasonally in the summer due to freezing issues in the wintertime. So it's a very exciting project for us. It's a $2.5 million investment. and scheduled for completion in May of this year. An interesting tidbit about the project: if you look at the plan view drawing, you'll notice that it's an oddly shaped building, and it's not because we made a mistake with our protractor. It's the building columns for the new building needed to be directly positioned on top of the columns in the existing 90-year-old concrete tank. So we wanted to ensure there was no added loads to the existing structure. So that is the reason for the shape. Next slide, Benny. Another great project for us is the water treatment project at our well in Franklin Lakes. This is to remove PFAS. I'm sure many of you have heard about PFAS at this point. They're sometimes referred to as forever chemicals. So these are newly regulated compounds that we need to remove from our water source. In this case, it's the groundwater at this well. The original facility here was only built not even 10 years ago. However, at that time, PFAS really wasn't a thing at that point. It certainly wasn't regulated. So with this project, we're expanding that facility to be able to accommodate 2 ion exchange treatment vessels to be able to remove PFAS to non-detect levels in the water. And that is scheduled for completion in the end of this year with a total cost of around $6 million. Next slide. This is the final project I'll be speaking about, and that is our Fairview Pump Station Upgrade project. This, again, is a very important project for our utility. This particular facility is located in the borough of Fairview. It is one of our larger pumping stations and supplies water to about 100,000 people over in the eastern part of our system, all the way from Cliffside Park up to Alpine. It's a complete upgrade of the facility: new pumps, new electrical equipment, new generator, new chemical rooms. And the total cost of this project is about $8.5 million. The most difficult aspect about this project is that we have to keep the station running 24/7 while all of this work is done. So that's currently keeping me up at night, but we have an excellent plan, and I'm very confident that we're going to be executed without any disruption to our customers. And this should be completed about a year from now. Next slide, Ben. Now I'll touch on our capital investments in our systems first. This slide is really a look back over the last 10 years in Bergen County. We're proud to have invested over $130 million in the last 10 years in our above ground infrastructure. Really predominantly, it's been in water pumping and water supply, followed by water treatment, general facilities, storage, and IT. Just before 10 years ago, we also had a major water treatment project at our Hallworth plant, which was in itself only about $100 million. So if we go back in time, the investment grows further. And the projects I just mentioned are not included in this total as well. So this number will grow as we move forward. On the right side is the underground infrastructure over that same 10-year period. And you can see the number is much more substantial. As I mentioned, we do have a lot of mains in the ground, a lot of assets, and we've been very diligent in trying to renew that infrastructure for our customers. Predominantly, the investments have been between our water mains and our service lines, especially in the last couple of years with the start of the lead replacement program. Next slide, Penny. This is the final slide for me before I hand it over to Tony, and it shows our overall capital investment for the near term. Looking forward, we're happy to report that our investments will continue to increase over the 5-year period starting in 2021. We project to be about $810 million invested. And you can see how much higher that is over the previous 2 5-year periods. So that's great news for everyone. Over on the right shows our outlook starting this year up to 2025 for our major investment categories. I'm not going to touch on all of them. I'll just speak about just the highest 4, starting with water treatment at 8%. I mentioned the PFAS project at Wyandotte. We have several other facilities, mostly in our Highlands region of the state, where we have wells that also have PFAS contamination and need treatment. So that work is currently in design, and construction will be starting in the next few months. After that, we have our wastewater treatment category at 13%. Currently, we have a very large wastewater treatment plant replacement project in our Princeton Meadows system. And we also are just starting design on 2 plants in our Highlands region as well. And construction on those will be starting next year. And then the highest 2 categories you'll see are, again, water customer service lines, continuation of our lead program, and our water network, which includes investments in our mains, valves, hydrants, and all of our underground infrastructure. And that's a good segue now to hand it over to Tony and talk about the underground investments. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. And thank you, Dejan. And we also want to thank Jerry and the Alliance for the opportunity to present, along with Penny for all the help. And also, Chris, thank you. Wonderful platform. I got very nice feedback from the table discussion. So most of the people can't wait to meet in person, but amazing job in regards to being able to do this conference virtually. Penny, if you can go to next slide. Again, I'm covering the underground assets, just a little drawing. Hackensack, the old Hackensack Water Company. This is our operations throughout the state in regards to companies that we own and operate, being regulated under the Board of Public Utilities. In Bergen County, up north, the red outline is the water system in Bergen County that we operate. And again, the majority of the Hackensack Franklin Lakes water system is in Bergen County, which is the focus of this presentation. Some statistics off to the side in regards to the number of customers, population, and the length of the transmission distribution system with all the underground piping. And obviously, Bergen County is the vast majority of the water system in each statistic. If we, next slide, Penny. One of the items that was mentioned by Mr. Tedesco in regards to one of the very key programs and investment that we've been doing over the last couple of years is getting the lead out of the water distribution system. Over the past 3 years, we've invested about $95 million and replaced about 8,000 lead service lines throughout the service territory. This investment's been on the our portion of the ownership of the service line, which has been from the curb to the water main. Again, that program is moving forward. We have a goal to get all the lead out from our side by 2030. And again, we're looking at an annual investment of $20 million or more. Obviously, there's a lot of collaboration with contractors, with towns, trying to get this work done along with the county. So really appreciate all the collaboration. And then last year was signed into law to expand the program to also include the replacement of lead services on the private side of the service, the private side being from the curb to the home. So we're implementing that, and that program is being done at no cost to the property owner. So unfortunately, in the past, when we've been replacing lead service lines, we've gotten very little buy-in from customers to replace their portion. So with the new program, we're hoping that we can really drive the replacement of lead service lines completely from the customer end. And if we can go to the next slide. Along the capital investment, last year, just a snapshot of what we did in regards to replacing water mains and water mains. We did a total investment of a little over $27 million. We had 47 projects throughout the distribution system, and we replaced about 47,000 linear feet of pipeline. The Bergen County portion was the vast majority of that work. We replaced 40 projects in Bergen County, and again, the vast majority of the replacement footage was in Bergen County at a little over 42,000 linear feet. And just a couple of photos of a couple projects from last year. The investment this year, we did carry over some projects over the winter out of necessity. So we're in the process of completing those 8 projects. We also have a lot of pavement to perform this spring from from those projects that we completed either last fall or recently completed. So we're planning on getting those started and completed in April. In regards to the rest of the work this year, we're planning on doing about $20 million in replacement and renewal of water mains. Some of the projects we're doing less projects because some of the projects are larger in scope. And in regards to the Bergen County portion, 16 of those projects will be in Bergen County. And just a few more photos of a project that was taking place over the winter. Next slide, please. One of the themes that Suez has had over the years is trying to invest in smart technologies, not only trying to implement CapEx efficiencies, but also to lead to operational efficiencies in the normal day-to-day operation and maintenance of the system. One of the projects, one of the areas of focus has been inspection of pre-stressed concrete cylinder pipes that we have in a distribution system, which are our larger transmission mains. With the purpose of the technology, and it's actually we're doing inspections while the transmission mains are in service. There's a little pictorial of the device that goes through the pipe as the collecting data to determine the structural integrity of the pipeline. And the investment's really focused. It's an inspection that takes a little bit of time and effort to do, but the benefits are that we're able to strategically and surgically target sections of pipe that are in need of replacement, as opposed to replacing miles and miles of transmission mains. So taking advantage of trying to keep the asset in life as long as we can while addressing the particular sections of pipe that need to be replaced. Along those lines, we've also purchased a no-des flushing truck, which a couple photos on the bottom. Traditional flushing, we'd go out in the springtime and open up hydrants, and water would just be flowing along the curb line. With the purchase of this truck, we're able to accomplish the flushing by taking the water out of the main, treat it through the truck, and use it to flush the water main, so where we're not losing any water. So again, a capital investment that's allowing us to reduce the amount of water that's being wasted for traditional flushing. And ironically, for the last concrete pipe inspection that we performed, we actually used both technologies. The inspection requires some minimum velocities to be able to do the inspection, and we use the truck to accomplish those velocities without wasting water. So again, one of the drivers at Suez is finding those smart technologies. Next slide, please. Another smart technology that we've had in the distribution system is leak sensors. Traditional leak surveys are moment-in-time surveys. We may do an area, and usually when we do an area, this does take quite a bit of time, and it may be another year before we come back. And usually it's like fishing. You're dropping a lot of lines to hopefully catch a fish. What we started doing in 2014, as sensors became more economically feasible, we started deploying them permanently in our distribution system. We're focusing in areas where we have high non-revenue water, and non-revenue water is the water that we put into the system that doesn't generate in billing for whatever reason, either because it's lost through leaks or theft of service, meter inaccuracies, and so forth. So really the purpose of the sensors are to try to find those leaks proactively. and again, focus in areas of the distribution system where we have high non-revenue water levels. In 2018, we started replacing the first generation sensors that we replaced with newer ones. Again, the priority for these were to find units that are going to be deployed longer, both in regards to the communication platform as well as having the ability to replace batteries. And another requirement that we had is for the units to perform correlation instead of which they're actually pinpointing where the leaks are. So the units talk to each other and do the traditional function of what our employees do of trying to pinpoint the leak in advance. So, and again, areas that would take months for a couple employees to survey, we're basically doing those areas every single night. Again, trying to proactively fix the leaks as opposed to proactively finding them. And again, trying to, reduce the loss volume of water that we have by having leaks run for long periods of time, and also want to replace them proactively to avoid the unexpected service impacts to customers by when the leaks turn into breaks. So next slide, please. And again, this is my last slide. Again, I mentioned the underground investment program that started about 10 years ago with the DSIC, which is the Distribution System Infrastructure Charge, which the Alliance was key to getting that adopted by the BPU about 10 years ago. And again, we're kind of sum up all the efforts that we've had, both with water main replacements, with investments in smart technologies, with the leak sensors that we've deployed. Again, our metrics in regards to how we're performing it's wonderful to see progress. Over the past 9 years, we've driven non-revenue water down by 5 billion gallons of water per year. It's a significant amount of water that we produce on an annual basis. Along the themes of attracting development, it's water that we're not wasting, that we have available for the development within Bergen County. So very happy. A lot of hard work has gone into this with our collaborative efforts with municipalities, with the county, with our contractors, and really thankful of all the hard efforts, and very proud of the achievement. So with that, that's the end of our presentation, and want to thank the Alliance again and all the members, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Well, thanks a lot, Tony and Dejan, and I'm glad you spoke right toward the end about the DSIC program. That's a terrific program that allowed the water companies to move forward and expedite their capital construction programs. During the recent gubernatorial campaign, we highlighted that and talked about how that has been such a great initiative for the water companies. We'd like to see that extended, make it easier for water companies to move forward on even more work. But we'd also like to see that extended to the other utility companies, the electric and gas companies. So we are working with the governor's office and hoping to see those projects move forward. And the more we, as the county executive was saying before, for every $1 of economic investment, or every $1 invested into our infrastructure creates $3 of economic investment. So that's really key. And so we'd like to see those projects move forward. So again, thank you so much for being here. That puts a wrap on our Bergen County Alliance for Action chapter meeting. And Bill Healy would know that, as our good friend Howie Rose would like to say, put it in the books. We thank our speakers, and I also want to thank again our co-chairs, talking about County Executive Jim Tedesco, County Vice Chair of the Board of Commissioners and Bergen County Building Trades President Tom Sullivan, and President of J. Fletcher Kramer & Son, Marty Downs. One more thank you to our sponsor for the day, Allen Brightway Electrical Utility Contractors, a Whippany-based electrical contractor with diverse capabilities. The Allen Brightway team is specialized in the mission-critical environments of healthcare, data centers, utility generation, power distribution, and traffic signals, while providing 24/7 emergency service to all its clients. Well, these are real busy times for the Alliance for Action. I hope you can join us at some of our upcoming meetings. Next Tuesday, March 8th, We'll get the details on the upcoming Delaware River Port Authority capital plan at the Inside Scoop with DRPA Chief Engineer Mike Venuto virtual meeting. And join us also on March 22nd for the Inside Scoop with New Jersey American Water President Mark McDonough virtual meeting. Mark is going to provide details on New Jersey American Water's 5-year capital program, more than $1.5 billion in investment. And exciting, our first in-person meeting of the year will be held on Wednesday, March 30th. It's the Federal Infrastructure Act, What It Means for New Jersey event, a great program in which New Jersey Transportation Commissioner Diane Gutierrez-Gichetti, New Jersey DEP Commissioner Sean LaTourette, New Jersey BPU President Joe Fiordaliso, and New Jersey Transit Senior Vice President of Capital Programs Eric DeLeo. They're all going to provide details on how they're dispersing $13 billion in federal highway, bridge, transit, water, broadband, EV charging, and other construction investments coming from the Federal Infrastructure Act. That meeting marks the first time those officials will be together in a room to publicly discuss the investment plan. So you don't want to miss that. And finally, our next county chapter meeting will be held in Burlington County on Friday, April 6th. For more information on all of our meetings or anything else having to do with the Alliance for Action, call us at 732-225-1180 or visit us at www.allianceforaction.com. And here's a shout out to the terrific Alliance for Action staff, Chris Hartman, Bill Healy, Athena Xenos, Penny Grasso, and Lynn Schwalde. None of this would be working without you, so I really appreciate it. Well, great to see you again. I'm Jerry Keenan, the president of the New Jersey Alliance for Action. Have a great day.